teacher was Miss Knapp. She could help us with anything except for when Brad just couldn't stop crying. But the year did liven up when Leslie Nagel was taking off her snow pants one day, and off came her jeans too. Then Bob Brown ran around the room screaming, "Leslie's got her pants off! Leslie's got her pants off!"
Your first grade teachers were Mrs. Waterbury and Mrs. Hummelson, and your field trip consisted of the ride to and from school, except for when Jody Long and Corey Vanny Bogart took too long in the bathroom, and Laura Selby was the bathroom monitor, and she got paddled because they were in there too long.
In second grade, we were in a whole new area of the elementary. We had Mrs. Johnson and Mrs. Markham as teachers. By then, we knew enough to go to the bathroom when Mother Nature called. All of us except Scott Carlson, who wet his pants during recess. He then rolled around in the snow, so all of them looked wet.
In third grade, your field trip was to the bird sanctuary, and your teachers were Mr. Torrey and Mrs. Van Nordwick. This could have been the best year ever because no one really remembered anything funny when it happened. Except that Mindy Foster lost her clown.
Fourth grade came around before we knew it, and this year our teachers were Miss Aldrich and Mrs. Randall. They tried to keep everyone in line except for Tom Summerfield. He gave Michelle Hall a Snuggie. This was the first time something had ever happened, so the teachers had to have a conference on it, and they decided to paddle him.
Fifth grade brought the arrival of Nikki Ritter and her very first boyfriend. Her and Brad Runyon went together for a day, but Brad had to break it off because he was scared that his dad would find out. This was the first year out in the pods. You were big shots now, but then when Jennifer Norton came, the first thing she noticed was the butch haircuts on Bob Brown and Brad Runyon.
Yeah! Sixth grade, we were the head of the elementary. We were even bigger shots now. But we weren't any smarter. Bob Brown hated wearing his glasses so much that he dug a hole and buried them. This was also Aaron's first year here. Mine too. I fell in love with him and it broke my heart, so when he called me a dog, I pushed him into the door, so hard in fact that the doorknob went right through the wall.
Speaking of love, Bob Brown had to get a whole new outfit to impress his new woman, Teresa Knight. Tracy Farouk tipped the piano on herself while Pam and Patty were having love wars over Jeff Wright.
There were some smart ones too. Captain Brad Runyon and Brian Thomas and Lieutenant Leslie Nagel showed us the way to safety, while Tricia Katz could outspell any of us with Holly Hunt and Jeannie Zook right behind her.
Our first taste of high school was 7th grade. We even had lockers. We had 4 new teachers and new memories. Dan McDowell was hit by a car while riding his bike to school. And Laura Selby used to hide her pimples by putting Band-Aids on them. Yeah. In the wintertime, Joe Sisco and Aaron would wear their hats backwards on the bus to make it look like they were talking to someone behind them. Warren Casper would stop the bus and run back to them and rip off their hats, and they'd start laughing at them because they fooled them. Homecoming attendants were Pam Neal and Brad Runyon.
In 8th, we got a kick out of watching the 7th graders' new box-up dance ways. Joe Sisco and Kurt Herman were sick of Randy Price, so they challenged him to a fight. Right when the bell rang, Joe ran out and jumped on Randy's back and started pounding on him, while Kurt stood by throwing snowballs. Our attendants were Lorraine Ranke and Bob Manis. Yay!
The next year, we got a new name. We were known as freshmen. This was Brad, Aaron, and Scott's first year involved with the student council. Brad was vice president, Aaron was a freshman representative, and Scott was our class president. Little did they know that they would have complete control over the student council for the next 3 years. Nikki Ritter and Dave Fogel were homecoming attendants.
1985, we became sophomores, and we won won the float and window contest for the second year in a row. We had made our mark.
Our junior year was pretty exciting. Even the summer before our junior year, Stephanie Dietz had thrown such a wild birthday party that the pool broke, and it was like being shot out of a giant hose that someone turned down. This year, our homecoming attendants were Laura Selby and Brian Thomas, and we won the float contest again with our 15-foot Mr. Potato Head. And we almost lost the window contest because we started out by paying the Pittsburgh Terriers instead of the Pittsburgh Wildcats. Dave impressed us all with his driving abilities when he rolled his Jeep on Cemetery Road.
Our senior year. Well, this is the most important one. This year started out great. Homecoming, our class won the float contest, and the attendants picked this year were Brian Thomas and Holly Hine, Scott Carlson and Laura Selby, Jeff Wright and Leslie Nagel, and Bob Madison and Jody Long were crowned king and queen. We had Rodrigo Chavez as an exchange student for half a year. Nikki Ritter became Branch County's junior miss, and Scott Carlson got really in the Christmas mood and started to sing a couple of his favorite carols in his mom's class. She kicked him out. During the Christmas parade in Marshall, Miss McMullen tripped on something. Then Renato Romani and Luciano Loves came to our school as new exchange students. Their first day here was the beginning of Spirit Week. We showed them just how great we are by winning Spirit Day the third year in a row, thanks to winning the pyramid for the sixth year. Our senior trip, which was May 1st to 4th, was to Toronto.
We had fun, especially when Hugh Woods played a new game called Ladders with some friendly kindergartners. But the most exciting part was when Mike Belmont ordered the pizza from a place that would give your pizza free if they didn't get it to you in 30 minutes. They watched for the pizza man, and then when he arrived at the hotel, Mike pushed all the buttons for the elevator. This held the elevator up so the pizza man ran up all 7 flights. But the guy got it there with 4 minutes to spare.
He was late.
Since we've been back from our senior trip, nothing more has happened, only the countdown to the last day. And today seems to be our final day. We hope the memories we share with you will remind you of what our class was like. Thank you.